Hello and welcome to another edition of the Moving Iron Podcast. This podcast is proudly provided by Axon, helping dealers move more iron for almost 100 years. Find out more at axontire.com. Axon was started almost 100 years ago out of a passion for keeping agriculture moving. It's that same passion that drives them today. With a vision for a better experience for both farmer and dealer, they set out to create a better way to move more iron. When you partner with Axon, you get immediate access to a full range of products and solutions designed to meet the complex needs of today's grower. Axon carries all major brands and sizes of tires, wheels, and tracks. From custom colors and sizes to fully customized wheels, you can have the solution for virtually any problem today's farmer is trying to solve. To find more or become an Axon dealer, please visit axontire.com.
Moving iron in the 21st century. Hard-working people working hard for you and me. Moving iron, time and time again. Through the years you'll find us here. Moving iron.
Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast number 209. This edition of the Moving Iron Podcast is brought to you by Axon Tire, helping dealers move more iron for almost 100 years. For more information, go to axontire.com. And also TractorZoom, delivering insights. The best place to find what's going on in the auction market and develop and see how trend lines are developing is, Aaron, what?
I wasn't paying attention.
Okay, Aaron's not paying attention. Pass the mic off. Aaron should have said Iron Comps by TractorZoom because
I should have.
you should have. But here's the best part about that is if you go to Iron Comps right now and you're looking at all the stuff that you can see there, all the trend lines developing, all the best places to go and look and see what's happening in the market right now as far as auctions go, past and present, I would want to go to Iron Comps and get that special moving iron discount at checkout. So I would pass the mic to Aaron right now, but I'm sure he's not paying attention.
I am now.
Oh, are you? Okay,
I am.
shocking.
See,
Look at
that's a special kind of mic drop. Like you're handing it off, and I'm not paying attention, and
Yeah.
it falls on the floor.
Yeah, I guess I need a signal. Need a signal to give you, huh?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm 6 inches away. Be like, hey, get off your phone. Pay attention. Hey,
Right on.
You must be a parent. Doesn't that just roll off the tongue?
I must be.
Get off your phone and pay
That
attention.
would be great. That would have been great. But we had a great setup for you coming into this. Obviously, Aaron dropped the ball there. But, hey, we're here together now. Aaron Fennell obviously is here with me now in full attention.
Full attention.
And we, as usual, kind of brainstorm what we're going to talk about this week. And one thing hot on everybody's mind right now is choppers. Choppers are one of those things that we've talked about a few times, but not a bunch. Not spend a lot of time on it because it's a very niche marketplace, right? If you're buying a chopper, there's only two things you're going to do to it. Either you're going to chop corn or haylage or drive it through a pack of zombies during the zombie apocalypse. That'd be the other best thing to do with
Or
something like that.
drive it around.
Drive it around and be cool. And
Yeah, just because they're so badass.
you could be driving alongside the road and go down and mow down the ditch and spray the stuff that you've chopped through the ditch
There
onto
you
the
go.
road as your friends drive by.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? That'd be
Perfect.
kind of a good thing. But
That is something I would totally ask to do. Absolutely.
wouldn't we all? But nonetheless, I think choppers are going to be a hot topic as we look and see what's happening here. So there's a lot of things that are pointing towards the direction that choppers might have a hope and a prayer this year. And two things. One is the winter kill action that we've watched so far come out of, well, I guess we haven't really seen the winter kill yet because nothing's emerged out of dormancy yet when it comes to wheat, but
Suspected
winter kill is the best way to put that. So when you have below zero temperatures, and I mean like 20 below, 30 below, 40 below, in some of these areas where you've had some in the wheat belt, and you start looking at the lack of snow cover and those kind of things, and as we start heading into a dry spring, there could be some drought situations that we see in the corn belt if things don't start to kind of swing dramatically. So I guess as you start looking at how you're positioning yourselves with equipment, a chopper might be one of those things that you might want to start paying attention to just because of the way crop may produce. So,
Correct.
Aaron, what are your thoughts on that synopsis I just laid out there?
Yeah, you're exactly right. If I know we are in the extreme western corn belt or high plains, however you want to look at it, the high plains, the suspected winter kill could be substantially high.
In Kansas, and Oklahoma, and
Yep.
eastern Colorado.
Right.
The Texas Panhandle.
Western Nebraska, Western Dakota.
Yeah.
So, Dakotas. Sorry guys. There's two. As you look at that, and if you pay attention to the weather right now, given we're in the La Nina, right?
La Nina, yes.
La Nina. Every time there's a front coming through, it splits the Great Plains pretty much in half. The Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma. And the West doesn't get one drop of moisture. But on the east side of that, they're getting fairly steady rains. There's parts of the Corn Belt that are way too damn wet.
Right. Yep.
We've seen other years start like that, and it'll either flip-flop or it shuts off the whole way.
Yep.
And there is nothing that sells faster than a chopper.
Yep.
Can't give combines away.
No.
Like every other day. But but choppers get hot.
Yeah.
That's what we saw in 12.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the same thing we saw. We saw, and we had the pricing uptick at the same time too.
Yep.
It's a weird. What would that be? 9 years ago repeat kind of thing,
Yep.
Chop and the thing with choppers is, they're having it's like they're a little bit more diverse tool than they used to be. You know what I mean? Like,
there's
and I think
that are getting used
a lot more crops that guys are doing, and it's not just you can only feed them corn silage.
Right.
Given the other crops and the flexibility with that, guys adjusting rations and tweaking stuff like that, you have kind of a. I'm trying to think how I want to say it. It's still like almost as niche as a Ropa.
Right, yeah.
You're not going to use it for anything else.
Right.
But that one job is more diverse than it used to be.
Right.
Back in like the Field Queen days or the 5830 deer days.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now I think when you look at what's going on in the dairy markets and in the cattle production feedlot type situations, that more and more nutritionists are weighing in on length of cut, those various very nuanced things that are going to help. Everyone's looking at how fast and how cheap can I make gain, right?
Right.
Or how fast and how cheap can I make a gallon of milk? Those kind of things are all starting to play in more and more than they have in the past, and we're seeing different applications of these choppers being put into place where they're going to have more and more nuanced, niched ideas that come along with them, but they're going to be for a broader spectrum of crop. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yep.
So,
well, what do we always talk about on here? You love it. I make fun of it all the time. Technology,
yeah. It's the best thing ever.
Those choppers today have an ungodly amount of technology on them.
They do. Yep.
Just obscene. Like take the 9000 series,
right.
With the quote-unquote shredlage rolls,
right.
and that is that's not because, hey, let's differentiate ourselves. The industry demanded that kind of roll because of the guy pulling samples out of the bunker, the nutritionist.
Yep.
He is the one. That's why you have some guys that are, just nick that kernel.
Yep.
Nope, pulverize, just turn the whole damn thing to powder.
Right.
Not only that, but all the harvest lab.
Yeah.
The
tracking nutrients, man, that's a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Yep. There's just the technology, how you can set that thing up. I mean, it's probably, I shouldn't say ahead of a combine, but you don't think of a chopper as like, you think of a chopper as this high horsepower, just devour everything. Do not put your hand anywhere near that son of a bitch type of machine.
Right.
Okay. It's got as much tech as a combine.
Oh, yeah.
As an 8R, as an 9R, if not more.
Right.
They are, and they're awesome machines.
Yep. Yeah, they
the
are.
productivity you get out of that machine, everybody, we joke about it constantly. Oh, $500,000 used chopper, smoking deal, smoking deal.
Yep.
But
if you think about the number of tons an hour that you're putting through that.
exactly. How much was a new 5830 back in 88? I don't have a clue, but I guarantee you, tons produced per dollar, looking at it that way,
tons per acre versus
big difference.
Bushels per acre. I mean, that's a big deal. These machines have got to the point now where all of ag is kind of turned into this. We need to track everything that we're doing all the way through the life cycle of that of that animal and what that looks like, and then more and more that's going to start heading that way as more and more as consumer demand starts to focus more on. I want to know exactly what this cow ate. Did it eat organic apples 3 times a day? All that kind of crap. People just want to look at those kind of things and see what happened. From a cattle production standpoint, knowing what that herd A has been fed and what does that look like and how did that gain work with this certain set of genetics, all those kind of things start playing into that decision-making process. Do we need to tweak this? Do we need to tweak that based on past, scientific data that they've gathered? You're going to get these kind of things. And I think that's where the misconception, choppers always kind of left in the backside because the number of choppers produced worldwide, I don't know if it's even 3,000. I know it's not that much. It's like 2,500 maybe.
Right now today on Tractor House, there are 1,175 self-propelled choppers.
Okay.
That's less than 2 model numbers of combine.
Yeah, exactly.
From one brand.
Right, yeah.
And that's everything, dude. That's from a Fox with no cab to a 9900i.
So that's less than 10% of the combine population.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you think, I think there's roughly 14,000 combines in the marketplace, whole industry wide, used wide. So you start looking at that, what'd you say it was, 1185? 1175 machines, that's less than 10%, right? So now you start looking at that nuance and how those machines stack up. It's just not one of those machines that people talk a lot about, because there's just not a lot of people that are using it that way.
Right,
right. Again, it kind of goes back to a very niche market. 2 things really one thing drives the chopper marketplace, and that's Class 3 milk. That's going to start dictating what that chopper market looks like, as much as the price of cattle and how they're going to feed and what that looks like and those kind of things. So.
But you're right. The dairy industry is
driving the chopper market.
Dairy drives chopper.
Yep.
Because that is a lot more finicky. Don't get me wrong. There's feedlot guys that beyond I's dotted, T's crossed when they're talking about length of cut and what kind of. God, I was just talking about what kind of kernel processing you want done. But the dairy absolutely drives that, because that is those guys are, I shouldn't say over the top, but they're very, very unbelievably detail minded.
Right.
Because every little tiny thing can have a huge impact. In her bag.
Yep. You go from making 3 gallons of milk a day to 3.25 gallons of milk a day. All of a sudden, then you made it move, or maybe you need going backwards, and that's nobody wants to go backwards. So I think there's a lot of things there about choppers that are just misconstrued, and oh my God, these things are so expensive. But they're expensive for a reason, because just like your example of the Ropa. A Ropa is a self-propelled beet harvester, right? It's used in 5 different places in North America.
Right.
5 places. And you might have, those 5 places might be the same number of acres as maybe the entire state of Nebraska. If even that much, right? So now you're starting to look at one machine that does a specific crop. That thing costs $1 million.
Right.
Almost $1 million. So that's, and you're not doing anything else with it.
Choppers are cheap.
Choppers are a bargain at that point. But also too, there's the thing about, I think, the chopper side of the business too is there's more of those choppers seem like to me now. I could. This is just my personal opinion as I look at it, but a lot of those choppers are very much relegated to to the custom business.
Absolutely.
More than you see the individual guy doing it. Because it's an acres thing, you know? It's
right.
It's tons.
You made the comment earlier about, a chopper isn't something that people talk about a lot because not a lot of people have them. A lot of people are involved with a chopper, but they don't own it.
Right. Yep.
These 20 cattlemen all get fed by the same chopper.
Right.
Or guys' choppers.
Right. Yep.
So that is a big thing of why there's probably kind of a disconnect. That the average crop guy he knows it's some big giant expensive thing that you spend a lot on reconditioning every year.
Right.
Right. But that's kind of where it falls off. So
yep. Yeah.
It's not an in your face thing all the time like everybody's other favorite combines.
Right. Combines are there for the world to see everywhere. But there's, again, you go back and look at there's still a large majority of the acres that get cut by custom cutters in some extent,
Right.
A lot of guys have a combine and they still hire a customer to come in and pick up instead of renting that extra combine or whatever.
Exactly.
They have a custom guy come through and knock out the other half that they're not going to be able to get to with their single combines. I mean, those kind of things happen. You don't see that on choppers.
No,
there's not a guy that's going I got my 9900, but I could sure use 2 more, so let's go ahead and get this, I'll get 2 more. No one's doing that. They're like, let's have the custom guy come in, have him knock that out, and we'll be good to go.
Yeah.
That's
we're not even here, and it's
right.
Silage is done.
Thing about chopper business, for the most part, from what I've seen, is either you have a chopper and you chop your own stuff, or you have a custom crew come in. Like there's very little gray.
And the guy who has a chopper and does his own stuff
Yeah.
does not just do his own stuff.
Not
Hardly ever.
Hardly ever. Yeah.
At least a couple neighbors
Yeah.
are going to talk him into
Right.
doing theirs.
Right. So it's just one of those machines that people see the value in. People like what they've got. It's a great machine, but it's just I only chop this 100 acres over here, right? Or I only chop this quarter or whatever, this circle or whatever, and then my other 22 circles I use my combine on.
Right.
That's
right.
That's what I do. So it's one of those things where you look at what are you doing with it? What's your feed practice? Are you? Some guys are vertically integrated, and they chop their own stuff, and most of the stuff they grow is they chop to feed for their feedlots that they've got, right?
Yep.
And some guys relegate those 2 or 3 pivots over there, and they either the neighbor buys it from them or they're selling it to whomever or whatever it is. I mean, so it's just a super defined box that you're in when you come to choppers.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Now, we would be remiss if we didn't have the Aaron Fintel deal of the week.
Well, it just so happens we have a chopper that I shouldn't say I'm a big fan of because then it sounds like I'm proud of it and I don't want to sell it. We have a wonderful monster chopper. I believe it's an 18. Is that correct? 19. It'd be 19 model year. 18?
Yeah.
2018 John Deere 9900 chopper with 772 head. And what is that, 659 pickup?
Yeah.
659 pickup. Package deal through the shop. Ready to roll.
Ready to roll.
535.
Shut your mouth.
For real.
That's
0% for 3 years, followed by, I believe it's 3.5 for 2 years.
Yep.
Special financing on that rig, and it's currently in the shop.
We're in the shop. Yep.
Right now. And that is field ready price, hammer down.
Yep.
12 rows of corn.
12 rows
at
of
a time.
Yep. And you're gonna
roll up your windows.
Yeah. No kidding. Buy a chopper and get an extra truck because you're gonna need it. Because
Trucks.
So yeah, but no. So I think the chopper marketplace, to me, I think there is going to be, we're going to see some moves this year.
Absolutely.
That we haven't seen for a while, and nothing sells choppers better than drought and hail.
Right.
So those are 2 of the biggest things out there. So,
which is kind of funny. We call hail the white combine. I don't. A lot of people do. So why isn't the chopper Technically, the chopper's the white combine.
To some extent, yeah.
To some extent.
Yeah. Some guys still go in and try to pick whatever corn's left off of whatever they got, but a lot of guys too. That's their insurance policy.
Right.
A chopper. So
Absolutely.
good deal. So let's take a look at. We haven't talked about this for a while, so you look at the economy as a whole right now.
Mm-hmm.
Crop prices are highest they've ever been. For the past 8 years, 7 for sure. Right. Everyone's got some excitement. Everyone's kind of got this kind of nervous itch to go out and buy a bunch of equipment, and there's still a little bit
some equipment,
yeah, some, and there's still some kind of anxious kind of apprehension to move forward, which I get. Everyone's trying to see how things kind of shake out a little bit, but there's no lack of interest.
No.
Right? There's plenty of people looking for stuff.
Lack of interest. There is no lack of interest. There's no lack of sales. The only thing there is a lack of is machinery.
Right. And the thing that you can... One of the tell signs that I talk about on here quite a bit that I pay attention to is the auction marketplace, right? Auction market to me is the canary in the coal mine. It's going to tell you everything that you don't want to hear and everything that you want to hear. It's the most honest creature on the planet.
Yep.
And as you look what's happening in the auction marketplace right now, from a retail on our lot ready to sell versus stuff going across the auction block, you're just about going to get a better deal going to your local dealer and buying something than you
just about. It's pretty close.
It's a pretty fine line.
I've seen plenty of cases in the last 2 months where that is, carve that in stone.
Yeah, it's one of those things where that's when you know the health of the overall marketplace is a pretty high deal,
right?
Especially when it comes to tractors. Holy crap, tractors! We can't hardly keep them in stock.
No.
We get them there if they sell as fast as we get them in.
Right.
So there's plenty of opportunity there when you look at that row crop tractor. If you're in that market to update your tractor, this is a great time to do it. It's a seller's market it's a seller's market. I would hate to say there's a seller and a buyer's market, but the buyer's market right now is you're going to get the opportunity to maybe go and look at that new piece that you've been thinking about for a while because of what your trade value looks like and because of the way interest rates are. But also, if you can find that low-hour, late-model tractor to bring into your fleet there, the technology that you're going to get is going to give you a pretty good leap moving forward, especially when you start looking at planter technology and seeding technology. If you're a wheat farmer or something like that, small.
Well,
grain.
absolutely, and we're running into here as every day that passes, we're running into the new 8Rs being late model, low hour.
Oh yeah,
and that's what we have quite a few listed that unfortunately are available in June,
right?
But the calls on those, everybody wants that used tractor, but they want the current tractor,
right?
You have two of them side by side, and this one's $15,000 cheaper. It's got the same hours, almost the same options, and nope. I want that. I want that new number. I want that new number.
Yep.
And why wouldn't
sense.
you?
Why wouldn't you? Yeah.
If you're spending $280, spend $3.
Yeah. Right.
Sad to say.
In the grand scheme of things, that $20,000 isn't really cheap.
Right.
Much,
right.
Yeah. So it's not like it was
when that's a 5-year-old tractor. You've made up a lot of that. Right. Plus, you've had the advanced features and technology for that 5 years. So,
and it's not like when you had a $100,000 used combine or a used tractor, and then the next one's $125 or $135. That's a big difference,
right?
So now you start looking at that. So my feel is, if we looking towards, I've had a lot of guys ask me, do you feel like we're starting to see a fizzle in the marketplace? And I say, I said yes to that to some extent, and I've said no to that to some extent too. So no is, in my opinion, no, I don't feel the fizzle that I think some people are feeling. I think some guys are pulling back the reins a little bit just to see what's going on. You come off of a 7-year hard spell, and then all of a sudden you're going to just go all in because you had a few decent months.
Right, exactly.
I get that. I get why they're doing that. to me, I think what I'm worried about for a slowdown is not really so much the economy, the farm economy, and crop prices going down. To me, what I see as a pullback is I really have this notion that a lot of guys that have been on the fence about, am I going to retire? I mean, is this the right time for me to retire? This, that, and the other thing. I mean, I've gobbled up a lot of equity and those kind of things over the last 5 to 7 years. I really think some guys are going to get healed up. They're going to get kind of in a good position again, and they're gonna. I think a lot of guys are going to retire now. I think we're going to see a lot of guys that are in that 60 to 70 year range in age, and they're going to sit back and say, I just went through this last one. I don't feel like I'm going to go through another one. I got my equity back. I'm in a good spot. I'm going to go out, and I'm going out with the sunset here.
That's exactly right. And we saw that, you're looking at, what are the baby boomers, like 15-year period? So the earliest boomers, because that's a huge population, right? That's why they have the baby boomer name. It's our folks.
Yeah.
The older one of those, of that generation, they punched out, 14, 15, whatever.
Yeah.
The other guys, the younger of that generation, is still, fighting it every day and loving it every day and all that.
Yep.
Well, now they're that much older. They've kind of caught up to where those other guys were 10 years ago.
Right.
Looking at the same thing.
Right.
Yep. We hit another up, and we're going to
eventually have a down.
Have a pretty as we crest the hill, if you will,
right.
And we can tell we've crested the hill. You'll have some riding into the sunset action.
Yes, I think
probably substantially.
I think the next 2 or 3 years you'll start seeing that. I think guys you'll start getting kind of hemmed up, and they feel like they're in a good spot. They've got some cash now. They'll have that auction. That's going to be the big retirement sale type deal, and I think you're going to start seeing more of that over the next 2 or 3 years than what we've seen even during the down cycle.
Right.
I think you're going to see more guys got my cash, going home. No one's coming back to the farm.
Pack up. We're heading for Arizona.
I'm going to get that $50,000 cut to mow my grass with now.
There you go. Absolutely.
So I think
I'd like to trade this 8R 410 on 2 4Rs.
So it'll be. I think it'll be. That's where I think the slowdown in the used equipment marketplace is going to be as more used buyers get out of the marketplace and start that transition. What does that look like, and how does that affect the flow of used equipment? And it's going to have a big effect on us somehow. I don't know.
Always does.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that late model, low hour stuff will always have a home somewhere.
Always.
But I think as you take a look at the big picture, I'm not so much worried about that stuff as I am that 7-year-old, 5 to 7-year-old combine and that 10 to 15-year-old tractor. Those are the machines that I'm worried about. Like, what do we do with those? And to me, the best place to send those kind of things it's an international market. And it's not even Mexico anymore, right? That's not hardly. I mean, you still got the 9600s guys looking for, and the 60 series and the 20 series tractor and those kind of things. But what guys are really looking for is that Eastern European marketplace,
right?
That sub-Saharan African thing, Asia, those kind of places like that. Those emerging markets that are turning a new leaf over on their agricultural practices, right?
Exactly.
That's where you're starting to see that hunger and that growth for those kinds of equipment. We sold several pieces of equipment to Kazakhstan. We sold pieces obviously into Eastern Europe. Ukraine obviously is
Africa. Everybody
wants to go sell something in Ukraine. So whether it be South Africa or you name it. I mean, Nigeria, those kind of places where sometimes you think you're getting a scam in your email, and then you kind of run it down the rabbit hole a little bit, and it's a giant multinational, billions of dollars getting pumped into this one little area to grow 4 acres of corn.
Yeah.
I mean, this is that kind of thing. And so I mean, those are the kind of markets that I'm paying attention to, and I think as I sit back and I kind of examine and take a step back and look back what's going on, that to me makes the most sense is how we're going to develop and grow the used equipment marketplace in the U.S. and Canada too. I mean, I think it's just the same. There's no difference.
No.
In those markets as far as used equipment.
Right.
Goes, you know?
Yep.
So I guess as I look back and see that, that's my biggest fear is that what are we doing with that third trade? What's that look like? What are we doing with that 70 series, 60 series, 50 series combine? What are we doing with that 30 series, that 20 series that's got 7, 8, 10,000 hours on it?
Right.
What are we going to do with those? And I think, as we start heading down this path of autonomy, which we're getting closer and closer every day, that used equipment is going to be shipped out to other places. And what does that look like? And so that's my biggest fear as far as the slowdown goes, is how does the retirement, this next wave of this next generation that retires and the next generation that comes in, how are they going to functionally look at used equipment? And obviously when someone retires and there's nobody else to come back into it, somebody else just got that much bigger.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's my vision of how the market's going to slow down. It's not going to slow down, it's just going to change. And how do we adapt to that? That's what we need to be focused on.
Well, and as dealers, we're constantly adapting. That's all we do.
That's all you can do. Yeah.
If we don't, we're not here.
That's exactly right. So I think there's between the situations that we see coming up with potential drought, potential winter kill, and those kind of things, and then we look at this evolving generational transition in farming. We've got our hands full ahead of us, so we need to start kind of pulling some levers and start making some decisions about what does 5 years look like from now. And I think there's a lot of dealerships out there and a lot of growers out there that are working with dealerships that are headed down that path. And I think a lot of people are having those conversations now more than what you could imagine. So,
oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, good stuff as usual, Aaron. I think we knocked this one in the head. If folks wanted to reach out to you and get more information about that super cheap 9900
super cheap,
how would they go about doing that?
Fairly active on the Twitterverse at Aaron Aaron Fintel, F as in Frank, INTEL, or call me or text me 308-760-1193.
Right on. You can find me, Casey Seymour, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's where you'll find the latest editions of the Moving Iron podcast. Also, you'll find the Moving Iron blog that I've posted there as well. I also write that article for Farm Equipment Magazine and the Ask the Expert section of their back page of the magazine. I'm not really an expert to ask, but I have an idea or two, but that's about the summation of it. So I would say if you're really looking for a great podcast to listen to, other than the Moving Iron podcast, which I think is a great podcast, go check out the Dryline Farmer podcast with Brent and Landon. Those guys will make you laugh. And check out the Moving Iron website at movingironllc.com. And you can get all the latest information about the Moving Iron Summit coming up in Nashville, Tennessee, September 15th to the 17th. Any dealer is welcome to come to that. So if you're interested in doing that, either hit me up with an email at MovingIronPodcast at MovingIronPodcast.com, or you can go to the website and all the information there is there to how to register and everything like that. So with that, I am Casey Seymour with Aaron Fennell. Let's go with some iron, folks. Out. You want to have a meaningful competitive advantage to help sell more equipment. Whether you represent the sales, parts, or management department of an implement dealership, there's a surprising amount of complexity when it comes to tire, wheel, and track technology. Let Axon worry about that so you can get back to supporting your customers. Axon has leveraged years of experience to create a streamlined process that gives you a proven path to help today's grower and sell more equipment. The roots of their organization go back almost 100 years to the invention of the rubber tractor tire. Supporting agriculture is the number one driver of Axon, from product development through sales and service. To find more or become an Axon dealer, head over to axontire.com.
Moving iron in the 21st century. Hardware